Somewhere between 90,000 and 100,000 items get left behind at such checkpoints every single month. That works out to roughly 3,000 forgotten phones, laptops, and pocket knives every single day just at security alone. None of that counts the suitcases airlines themselves manage to lose entirely. A single facility in Alabama alone receives roughly 7,000 new items every single day. It draws more than 1 million visitors a year from over 40 countries. So once your item disappears at the airport, where does it actually go? And does a knife judged too dangerous for the cabin really just vanish? There are actually two completely separate systems handling lost items, and they rarely overlap. The first covers anything left behind at its security checkpoint. The second covers checked bags the airline itself loses somewhere between the counter and the plane. Each system follows its own timeline, its own rules, and its own final destination entirely. An item left in a checkpoint bin gets held by that airport's own ZAT Lost and Found office. ZA holds everything for a minimum of 30 days, giving travelers time to realize what they left behind. Most people never realize their item is missing until they are already boarding or already home. Airport Lost and Found staff say a detailed description makes reuniting an item with its owner far more likely. Brand, color, any scuff or sticker, small details like that speed the whole process up. Passports and driver's licenses that stay unclaimed after those 30 days get destroyed outright. Laptops, tablets, and phones get their memory wiped or the device fully destroyed, protecting whatever personal data was still stored inside. Actual firearms found in a carry-on go straight to local police, no exceptions. Everything else unclaimed, pocket knives, scissors, box cutters, multi-tools, gets handed to a state surplus property agency instead. That agency then lists these items in bulk lots on GovDeals, a public government auction site anyone can register for. Listings rotate constantly since new confiscated items arrive at checkpoints every single day of the year. Pocket knives and multi-tools often sell by the pound. Split between bidders, a single piece can end up costing as little as $1 or $2. Checked bags follow a completely different path. If an airline cannot reunite a passenger with a lost bag within roughly 90 days, it steps in. At that point, the airline formally compensates the passenger for the bag's full value. Once compensated, the bag legally becomes the airline's own property, officially classified as salvage. Several major airlines ship these salvage bags to a single facility, the Unclaimed Baggage Center in Scottsboro, Alabama. Airlines lose track of roughly 2 million bags a year across the country. The overwhelming majority get reunited with their owners within a day or two. It is only the small remainder, the ones nobody ever claims within that 90-day window, that end up traveling to Scottsboro at all. It is the only retailer of its kind in the entire country buying bags sight unseen under exclusive contracts with the airlines themselves. Airlines could technically split that salvage business between several buyers. Instead, nearly every major carrier funnels it toward this one single company. Every bag gets opened, sorted, and processed inside a 50,000 square foot warehouse. Clothing gets professionally laundered, though only new items still carrying original tags ever make it back onto the sales floor. Electronics get tested, wiped of personal data, and refurbished before resale. Everything else gets cleaned, priced between 20 and 80% off retail, and put out for sale. Staff search every pocket and zippered compartment as they sort each bag, since valuables often hide in places a passenger forgot entirely. More than half of what arrives never actually makes it to the sales floor at all. It gets donated to charity instead, or simply thrown away as unsellable. Here's the part nobody tells you about what actually happens to a knife saw confiscates for safety reasons. The official justification is simple. That item is judged too dangerous to bring into a pressurized cabin full of strangers. That exact same knife rarely disappears for good. It gets bundled into a bulk lot and sold through GovDeals, often within the very same state it was confiscated in. One buyer reportedly found a Kershaw Launch 1, an automatic knife that normally retails for around $200. He paid just $70 for it at a state-run surplus store with no background check required at all. That same story keeps repeating across the country, one state surplus site to the next. Similar bulk lots of premium brand knives and multi-tools regularly sell for a fraction of their sticker price. No questions ever get asked about who's buying them or why. Not confiscated forever, not destroyed for safety, not kept out of public hands in any meaningful, lasting way. The danger never actually disappears from circulation. It simply changes owners, usually for a fraction of what it originally cost. The story behind the other system, the one handling entire lost suitcases, gets stranger the further back you go. In 1970, an insurance salesman named Doyle Owens heard something interesting through a friend on ham radio. A bus company had mountains of unclaimed luggage piling up with nowhere to go. He borrowed a pickup truck and $300, then drove to Washington, D.C. He bought his very first truckload there, not from an airline at all, but from a bus line called Trailways. He sold the contents on card tables set up inside a rented house, with his wife and children helping sort everything into piles. Within a month, he quit his insurance job entirely. Decades later, that small idea now processes roughly 7,000 new items every single day. Most of what the store finds is nothing extraordinary at all. Clothing, chargers, sunglasses left behind in a seat pocket. But every so often, something remarkable slips through, and the museum inside the store exists specifically because of it. Employees there have unpacked a complete suit of armor, ancient violins, and loose Egyptian artifacts. One violin is believed to date back to the 1700s, possibly from a student of the famous instrument maker Antonio Stradivari. A 40-carat emerald turned up in one bag, and a live rattlesnake turned up in another. A guidance system from a retired Navy fighter jet showed up once too. The store quietly returned it to the military rather than selling it. A camera once traced back to NASA's own space shuttle program turned up in a bag as well. Staff there knew exactly which agency to call. Even a giant puppet named Hoggle, built for the film Labyrinth, ended up there. The filmmaker himself found out and told the family they could simply keep it. So the picture is two very different systems running on two very different kinds of logic. One treats every unclaimed item as a security risk. That risk gets neutralized, then quietly resold to the very same public it was confiscated from. The other treats an entire lost suitcase as buried treasure, cleaned, sorted, and given a genuine second life on a store shelf in rural Alabama. Neither system destroys nearly as much as most travelers assume walking away from a checkpoint. Both systems ultimately answer to the same basic economics. Storage costs money, and an unclaimed object sitting in a warehouse forever helps absolutely nobody. Selling it, whether through a government auction site or a retail floor in Alabama, is simply cheaper than throwing it away. A blade too dangerous for a cabin can end up back in a stranger's pocket for $70. That makes you wonder what actually happens to a passport you simply let expire in a drawer. This kind of hidden system is the sort of thing you can keep seeing unpacked stage by stage. Subscribing keeps the next one coming.